Welcome to Empty Suitcase with Outchair Flamingos, a podcast featuring honest conversations around productivity, creativity, and agility for those working in and navigating the digital space. So, that's basically everyone these days. Imagine working in a system that is empathetic, one that embraces the idea of creating shared value for all. Joining me today for a very special episode on the future of organizations are Paulina Kishevaleska and Janaa Murad of Good Intentions. Good Intentions is a creative collective. They are known best for being intuitive, imaginative, and collaborative. All in all, Good Intentions is a real creative powerhouse who uses a collaborative model that encourages full-hearted and dynamic approach to finding design solutions. Their mission lies in creating beautiful content for brands and creating a platform that champions women supporting each other. We spent a whole month exploring the whys, hows, and whats of collaborations and collaborative networks. And let me tell you, we opened up Pandora's box. We noticed that leadership as a concept has been discussed in length, but collaborations and working in non-hierarchical environment, well, not so much. So many different parts of our existence are being radically updated right now. Why should it be any different with our work environment? I read a New Yorker article that came out a couple of months ago titled How Pandemics Wreak Havoc. Here, the author talks about how great crises tend to bring about profound social change. One of the people the author got in touch with was a professor at Johns Hopkins University who immediately compared COVID-19 to the Black Plague. Not in the number of dead, but in terms of shaking up the way people think. The Black Death really marked the end of the Middle Ages and the beginning of something new. And that something new was the Renaissance. We know history doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. When we are all faced with so much uncertainty, it really does help to look back at history for context and then address the challenges and opportunities of today. Less than a decade ago, Bill Drayton, a social entrepreneur, spoke about how we are moving rapidly into a world defined by change, which is the opposite of repetition, really. And he went on to say value in this world comes not from providing the same thing over and over to a client, but from managing complex change processes. He says one needs to see and seize evolving opportunities, and that the new organizational model must be fluid. It should be an open team of teams. Like it's been with every turning point in the past, we are undergoing a massive shift right now. This is especially true in how we're shaping our organizations. In my opinion, it's an exciting time to be alive, and we're looking at adopting new ways to communicate and work together. Let's be real, we're moving to an environment where agility and adaptability trumps efficiency. I believe collectives or collaborative networks flip the script from the traditional way of doing things. And it does so by making the approach more workforce-centric and inclusive. Paulina, Janaa, and I have been colleagues and friends from our time in Dubai. We spent most of our careers in a corporate environment where we learned a lot about the powerful impact and beauty of working together. When we decided to leave the corporate environment in 2017, we never thought we would come back together to join this collaborative network. And now, in the middle of a pandemic, here we are, working together just like we used to, but across different time zones. Paulina describes herself in many ways: a creative, a third culture kid, and a passionate designer whose good intentions glass is always half full. After earning her stripes in graphic design and working all over the world, she's now one of the creative captains aboard the Good Intentions ship. Meanwhile, Jenna is a soulful dreamer, a wholehearted and intuitive doer. Think Marie Kondo meets Steve Jobs, a project manager who believes that every brand has its own unique story. Today, she's one of the captains creating those good intentions waves. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me today for the second episode of Empty Suitcase. How are you doing today?
We're doing
We're do
great, Donna. Thank you so much for having us. Honestly, it's so nice to be able to talk to you today.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here, Donna. Thank you for having us, and can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, we have a ton to talk about, right? Let's kick off our conversation by taking our listeners through the whys and the hows and the whats of a collaborative network. And if you ask me why a collaborative network, um, I think it's the ability or a scenario where we have the freedom to work independently with the solidarity of a collective. So, what we are trying to do here is to find the intersection between the teams in a cooperative environment and the independence of a freelancer. So, what about you, ladies? What made you gravitate towards creating a collaborative network?
Well, Donna, let me see. Let me shoot it to you straight. So I picture, and this is how I imagine it, is a construction site, right? And you have the project manager that deals with the foreman, that deals with the labor, that deals with the contractors, that deals with the subcontractors, and all these elements. And the project manager has to fix each and every person, and each one has their job and each one has their role according to their skill set. So we're very much like a construction company, actually. You can picture it in this way. And by working together, and you're building these Legos, right? It takes so many people to create a building. And that's what we do, but with a logo, with branding, with creating your story. What are you about? The design, the aesthetic, what type of company is it, and I think, having this collaborative network that empowers and showcases each other's skill sets is so important because we're celebrating each other instead of competing, you know, and we're all good at different things, but there's no reason to compete. Rather, we work with love, harmony, and kindness, and we work consciously with our clients and collaborators to create that beautiful work, you know? Um, and for us, as good intentions, that's really at our core value as a company. We love to empower and provide these opportunities for others instead of shutting them out, because you don't really win this way. And it doesn't invite people to grow. And we want to invite people into our network and create that network of good people and creatives and all that, but in harmony.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on what Jenna was saying, like harmony is like the key that connects the whole collaborative network. So for me, actually, it all started, it was very kind of happenstance. It just happened very randomly. I was already freelancing for a little while, and it got to a point where I started to realize that there was only so much I can do by myself. And like, for example, I felt quite limited with the size of projects I could take on. And I did miss the kind of interconnectivity that you feel when you're in a team, you buzzing off each other. I did miss that. So while this was happening, quite organically, actually, my creative friends and I, we were sharing projects and opinions and contacts and skill sets, and we're like reaching into our networks and giving each other work. So we were already like unknowingly working as a collaborative network. We just didn't know it yet. It didn't have a name. So I think my light bulb moment was realizing that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So realizing that we're stronger together than competitors. And I think that's where it all started to come together, and we literally just needed a name to make it official. So it just kind of evolved very, very naturally. And fundamentally, the philosophy behind having a collaborative network is also creating an allyship with other creatives and giving those creatives the same access to support and resources that formal agencies would have. And that allows us to grow individually and together. So I want to see my friends and my creative colleagues flourish so that we can rise in tandem, basically.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with the both of you more. I think it's like, if you see everyone as competition, it's like entering a boxing gym without any training and picking a fight with people. You are going to lose. So allyship,
Agreed.
allyship is an important part of our collective approach too. So instead of seeing other agencies as competition, we view them as allies whose values align with us. And another thing is that post 2008, after the recession, a new type of organizations started coming to being, which was purpose-driven organizations. So, yeah, instead of limiting our focus on just making profit, people were like, okay, how can we find an intersection between profit and purpose and work together and create shared value for all? So how I look at it is, as a collective, we will share resources, we will share risks, we will share responsibilities. And personally, this is a watershed moment for purpose-driven organizations. And we are so excited to adopt a more conscious way of looking at things. And speaking of being a force for good, tell us a little bit about the story behind your name and what influenced you to set up Good Intentions.
Well, like I mentioned before, I had been freelancing for about 9 months. And during this time, Janaa had relocated from Dubai to the UK. And she would sometimes come over, just kind of peek over my shoulder and just hanging out with me in general while I worked. And I noticed that she was offering like really interesting insight. And more importantly, I noticed that her aesthetics were aligned, which is so incredibly important, especially when you're in a team of two. So you gotta be on the same wavelength, that's for sure. So on a like a cold, rainy winter night, a very English winter, if you will, Jenna and I were just outside, and I turned to her. I honestly, I don't even know where this came from, but I just turned to her and just asked her if she wanted to do this with me. And it was funny because I didn't know what this was. I didn't even know what it was. It had no name. It had no fleshed out concept, but whatever it was, I wanted her to do it with me. It was like gut. It was visceral. I just, something came over me where I thought, you know what? This is one of those moments where you're going to trust your intuition and you're going to ask your friend to do this with you. And it was impulsive, but it was intuitive, and I knew it was going to be good. And funny enough, without hesitation, Janaa turned around and said yes. So she didn't give it much thought either. But from that day forward and every day since, it's just been something that we've been absolutely committed to. And I genuinely wouldn't have it any other way.
Agreed. Thank you, Paulina, for the romantic story. Always appreciated. It was
I'm a
endowed,
sucker for romance.
Very romantic. And then I'll continue on the story from there. So we basically ended up having a brainstorm the following day about our company name, and we're like, okay, what should we name our company? Let's do this, And Good Intentions came about, and we kept repeating it back to ourselves, and like, is it too general? Is it too generic? But that's how we felt, And we really felt that name kind of resonated with what we were about, you know, knowing how we are and how we approach everything with good intentions, you know, our friendships, relationships, and with work, it's the same. So that shouldn't really be any different, you know? So we just approach everything with good intentions. We're good people. And we want to just kind of make a difference, you know, and be better for it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, all it takes is a moment, right? I mean, for you, Paulina, it was a moment standing next to Jenna, and for me, I think it was a small hunch in 2016, and it came from a project that I was working on at that point. It was a massive project for one of my biggest clients at that point, and they had this big project launch. And the budget for this project launch had more zeros than I've ever seen before. So it was like an all hands on deck kind of plan. So we are sitting in the conference room with people from different departments coming together and pitching their ideas and trying to find a solution for this campaign. And that's when it struck me. I was like, wow, you know, when you collaborate, when you work as a team, the kind of ideas and the kind of impact it has is very different from when you are working on your own. Because we're so used to division of labor and working on your own and being accountable and responsible for your role, that when we just changed the situation a little bit for this project, I saw the difference. And yeah, and then later, I think around the same time as you ladies, I decided that maybe it's time for me to take everything that I've learned in the corporate environment, the power of the collective and power of like teamwork, and incorporate my conscious and mindful way of doing things. And yeah, for me, that's where DV came into existence. Um, And I believe that our experiences play an integral role in giving shape to the form in which our companies exist and work today. Um, yeah, what do you think has been some of the highlights of your journey for good intentions?
I think our main highlight for this journey would in fact be that, you know, me and Paulina found each other and we, you know, got the chance to work together, you know, as friends first and then business partners, of course. That's our motto, at least. And really embracing this journey and what we're building together, creating this, you know, creative hub for people that, you know, align with our values. And our values are so basic that it's just even more powerful, right? When something is so basic as just having good intentions, just being a decent person, really.
Mm,
And that's the exciting journey, is that we're creating this huge community, and I can't really wait to see what comes next.
me too.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, I think the highlights for me, and I'm sure that Jenna would agree as well, is seeing the collaborative network grow from a team of one, which is me, to growing to a team of 12 and having an amazing partner, a team of 12 incredibly talented entrepreneurs, all of which are experts in their own respective fields, has honestly been like the greatest pleasure. And I think it's safe to say that we like learn from each and every one of them on a daily basis in a different way. So the learning curve is just so big. You know, the sky is the limit. I'm constantly learning from different people's aesthetics and styles, and I honestly, I get a buzz off of it. I think it's amazing. And then secondly, I'd probably say also the geographical spread of our client base. You know, sometimes having projects happen in 3 simultaneous places. So like from now, we have projects reaching from Dubai, Marbella, Poland, Canada, London, all while we're growing our business in tandem is just really exciting. It feels like, you know, you never feel like you're quite where you want to be, but at least I feel like I'm truly enjoying the ride.
Absolutely. Yeah, the people.
100%.
Yeah, the people who make up, the network. It makes such a big difference, right? Like it's so important to find the right kind of people to grow with, and yeah, definitely a highlight even for DV Media Co. I think one of the biggest highlights has been the number of people involved, and they're all so deeply invested in it, like from the start to wherever it's going to go, and that really is so motivating. Another thing I think we tried recently was how our designer Tanya collaborated with you, Paulina, where you guys did like a creative improv. That was a cool collaboration, and that was a cool way of
Very
doing
cool.
things. With
Very cool
yeah,
collaboration. And, from two different countries as well. I think it's just so
yeah,
amazing that that can happen in this day and age.
absolutely. And you guys have never met that, and you didn't have to have like, we didn't have to fly to London, or you didn't have to fly to India to make this work. I mean, technology permits us to do that nowadays, and I feel like we should totally use it in every way possible. Which makes me think, like, globalization is at our fingertips right now, and we should use collaboration as a tool to bring useful perspectives and a system approach to generating ideas. Here we have possibilities, and we can find stability. We can embrace our challenges and really expand our connections, just like the connection you and I have as DV Media Co. and Good Intentions. So, how exactly does a collaborative network work? Here at DV Media Co., we are a community of media experts who build projects together with an emphasis on team focused working. But what does that really mean? For us, collaboration is a way to identify the right people for a specific project. So it really stems from the quest to build the most appropriate team for each project or assignment that we take on. We're just a 21st century update of a digital agency. We update our phones all the time. We update our laptops. We update all the tech around us. I mean, we even update our minds all the time in terms of our well-being and our mental fitness. So why
Oh,
shouldn't
I
we do?
love that analogy, Donna. Such a good analogy for this one. No, you're totally, absolutely right.
No, yeah.
Donna, I think you're touching on the nerve that in order to see evolution and transformation, you have to put yourself in a state of discomfort. So I don't know. I say bring on the update. We're ready.
Absolutely. That brings us to the end of the first part of our episode with Good Intentions co founder Paulina and Janaa. Stay tuned for the next part, in which we are going to be going deeper into how a collaborative network really works, what it consists of, and also talk about how collaborative networks create just the environment for fostering creativity, productivity, and agility in the digital space.